Welcome to the Better Agent Podcast. If you're a real estate agent that's looking to grow your business, then you're in the right place. Whether you want to go from 5 to 10 transactions a year, or 10 to 50 transactions per year, or more, well, then this show is for you. I'm Josh Lavik, your host for the Better Agent Podcast, and in each episode, we'll bring you the tools, tips, and tricks directly from myself and some of the best leaders within the real estate industry. We have one goal in mind, and that's to boost your production and elevate your real estate game. Let's dive in and start creating a better real estate experience together. Welcome back to the Better Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Lavik, and I am talking about growth in your real estate business, as we always do on the show. Hopefully that you can get some insight, tips, tricks, nuggets, and other things based on my 20 years in the real estate industry, and then also from our wonderful guests that we bring on the show. Hopefully we can get some wisdom and insight from their experiences as well over their career. So today I have an excellent guest that I've known for many years, Anna Trull, who's also another great agent in my market. And I know we've done at least a handful of deals together over the years, but definitely come across each other in the past and always had good experiences with Anna. But I'm excited to have her on the show and share some of her insight and wisdom from the years. But kick it off, Anna. Why don't you share with our listeners a little bit more about yourself and kind of your background and kind of where your business is at today?
Oh, sure. Thanks, Josh. Thanks for inviting me too. It's been a little while since we've seen each other, but we worked for a little bit in the same office. So that's why it's good to see you, and thanks for inviting me. I've been in the business 22 years, in like 2.5 weeks. So I'm coming up in the year. Yep. So, but I started out, my degree was in violin performance, which is kind of unusual, I think. So I played classical violin. I played in the Madison Symphony and Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra, which actually I'm going to tonight. So I'll see some of my old friends in the orchestra, which will be fun. So I did that for a number of years. What they kind of don't let you know in school is there's not a whole lot of orchestra jobs out there. So I had a few years and waited tables, bartended, kind of piecing it together, and then realized I probably should make a switch. Worked a couple different jobs. I worked for .com for a bit, and then decided I wanted to be my own boss. Had a great realtor, helped me buy my first home, Roman Vetter, and he recruited me and was my mentor for many years. So yeah, that's kind of how everything got started.
Very cool. Well, that's definitely a unique kind of pathway, right? Like I wouldn't think violin performance, right? Orchestra, that sort of pathway prepared you to be a good realtor and a good person in this industry. And yet here you are 22 years later. I mean, clearly succeeding, clearly making an impact on our market, clearly helping your clients. I mean, I had somewhat of a different beginning as well. I had a biology undergrad, right? I was on more of a science, ecology, environmental science pathway. And, at some point had a turn in my career path to real estate. And here I am 20 years later. So I think it's an interesting business too, that, regardless of where you start, whatever your background is, I think there's lots of ways to get going and definitely lots of ways to be successful. But how do you think some of that background, even in violin performance, how do you think that's translated into some of your skills and success in the real estate business?
Well, when you learn an instrument, I think, whether you're a high level sports person or whatever, I mean, you're learning a skill, you're practicing every day, you don't mind the grind of just being consistent with your practice, with just bettering your craft. So I think that goes along with real estate. I mean, so many people go into real estate thinking it'll be a quick, big money maker, but and sometimes it is, sometimes that happens. But I think for the most part, it is just being consistent, staying in touch with your clients, constantly meeting new people, and just being consistent with your knowledge of the market and learning. And so it's never boring, which is what I really like about it. So you're always learning something new. But I think, so many different backgrounds can easily translate into real estate.
Yeah, for sure. I think, that resonates with me too. I think I wasn't a musical person, I didn't get those gifts like yourself, but I was a sports kind of guy. And my main sport in high school and 3 years in college, I wrestled through those time frames. And it was like,
I can see you being a wrestler.
You can see that? Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So that was, my main sport was wrestling. And I think it's a similar kind of performance kind of aspect, right? Like you got, it can feel like a grind
Mhm.
some days, right?
Mhm.
Like you don't always want to go to practice, but if you have set your sights on a higher goal or a high for you, setting that big performance night that you're practicing for, and you want to make sure you really, nail the performance. I mean, I think you do exactly that. You put one foot in front of the other, and it doesn't matter as much how you feel. It's like, okay, well, we're going to practice today. We're going to
Right,
learn something today. We're going to get better
right,
today. We're going to improve today, which
right.
I love that about you. And I love that about, actually, that's what I'm all about on this podcast, right? It's the Better Agent podcast, right? I'm not saying we're always done. It's not like we're suddenly the
Oh,
best agent, right?
yeah.
It's about always getting a little bit better every
Mhm.
day, every time, every conversation, every deal, every interaction, and every week. So I love that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, what about, let's rewind a little bit. What about, say you were earlier on in your career,
Mhm.
I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it might be for you. Is there a time that comes to mind when things just finally started to click, right? I mean, when you first pick up a violin, right, you're not naturally good, right?
Sure.
When you first
Oh,
step on a wrestling mat, I wasn't naturally
yeah.
good, right? You first pick up your phone to call your real estate clients. You probably stumble on your words, you
Yeah.
stumble on your scripts, you say things you don't mean or don't understand, right?
Yeah.
And what about for you? When do you think it really started to click where you're like, okay, I can do this and I'm doing well and you're making an impact? Is there a time
Yeah.
frame or
That
instance that
was
comes to mind for you?
Yeah, it was probably year 3 where it really started to click. I was lucky, like I mentioned, I had that mentor, Roman Vetter, and he let me kind of follow him to all his appointments. So I got a lot of great training on how to present the documents, the paperwork. I learned a lot about contracts from him, and how to work with people. So that was super helpful. So I think it's important to have a mentor or someone that you can sometimes, go along with, on appointments. I think that's a great way to learn pretty quickly. But I would say, for my first and my second year, I doubled my sales. And then that happened again my third year. My third year, I felt like, okay, I'm starting to cook with gas at this point. So it took a few years. And again, it's just doing that consistent, keeping up with people, lead generation. When I started, buying leads was not a thing, and now, of
Yeah.
course, that's an option to a lot of people. So I don't do that, but it's because it wasn't available when I started. So,
Yeah.
um, so for me, it's all about building relationships and keeping in touch with my people, and, asking for referral. And that just takes time and confidence to figure out, how best to ask those questions.
Yeah. But you do. So I think that's interesting to note, though. Like your
Mhm.
practice, your activities that you still do today, and what you did early on was stay in touch with your people, right?
Yeah,
Right. It's not like you can't just do nothing. You're actively making phone calls, building those relationships, nurturing those people to stay in touch and stay kind of top of mind awareness to
yeah.
build that business. Am I interpreting that right?
I mean, I'm a naturally social person. Like I have a lot of friends. I like to be out and about. So that was not super difficult for me. I have to say, when I started, didn't really necessarily had systems in place. I
Yeah.
kind of do now. Like now I know. I mean, actually, I do have systems in place now. So, I make sure and I keep in touch with my people, either with a phone call or getting together for a coffee, or if I see something cool on social media that they're doing, I write them a quick note. So I have a little bit, I'm a little bit more systemized in that regard, but I also love it. Like that's my favorite part is the
Yeah.
people part. Yeah.
God, I'd love to hear more about that. So having systems in place, I know I was very similar to you, right? When I first
Mhm.
started, I didn't have any systems in place, and I've built them over time. And we definitely have a lot of different systems in place, and they continue to evolve over time. I know for me, just almost developing that habit of, as soon as you meet someone, or whether it's at an open house or, say some event you're doing or whatever it might be, for me, one of the main systems is like they go into my database. They go into our way of staying in touch and following up with people. But, so you're not, it's not necessarily the buying leads route, right? So
No,
I'm not
yeah,
getting it from a portal, but I'm getting the information, and I'm getting and nurturing and building that relationship. And,
yeah,
if and when they're ready to make a move, then I'm right there and able
yeah,
to help. So I don't know if you're able to share a little bit, you don't have to go share as
yeah.
much as you'd like, but I'd be
Yeah.
curious to hear what you mean by that. What's your system of that's really working for you right now?
I mean, I have different systems for different purposes, but like if I'm meeting someone for the first time and we connect, maybe write them a little note, say it was awesome to meet you. Maybe if I really like if I am interested in them, which oftentimes I am because I'm a people person, say, let's go get a coffee, or I'll invite them. I'm kind of active in the arts world here. So like I'm on the board of the Madison Symphony, and I used to be on the board of Madison Museum of Contemporary Art. So like I like to go to art openings and concerts. And if I have someone that is interested in those things, I'll invite them to an event like that. And just in general, keeping in touch with people. So for me, it feels pretty natural. I mean, the system is that, yes, they go in my database. Yes, I try to follow up, keep in touch with them on the regular, but for me, that's a joy. Like I really enjoy that part of it.
But then, yeah, because you're naturally back in front of those people, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're on the board of the symphony people and then you go to the symphony or you go to these things, you're interacting with these people more than once on a regular basis. And it's something you love to do, right?
But it has to feel natural. I mean, you don't want to force things. If people you get a sense at this point in my career, I can get a sense whether it's clicking or not. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, I totally get you. I mean, I've been to the symphony maybe a handful of times. I'm not a connoisseur as much as you are, right? I'm not involved in the board, but like, I think the takeaway that I hear that anybody I think could implement is find something that does excite you. Find something that does feel like a natural fit, that does feel like it's not a grind, right? Like it's a joy.
People know if you're authentic or not. You know what I mean? You have to be authentic. So you have to do things that bring you joy. And I think you can meet people by volunteering, by just being involved in the stuff that you love. I mean, if it's your gym or if it's like your kids' activities or, whatever it may be, there's so many ways to meet people.
Totally. Yeah, no, absolutely. For sure. Just get involved, meet people, and just deepen those relationships. And then as a result, business kind of just pops up? Or how does that happen? Where do you think that conversion happens for you?
I don't know when that conversion happens, but it's slower going when you're working sort of more by relationships and building relationships and by referral. Sometimes those people I don't ever business with me, but maybe they'll refer me to a friend of theirs, So these relationships are really important because it's not just that person, it's, everyone they know.
Yeah, it's not always them transacting, but certainly they know other people, and people are moving to and from the area for lots of different reasons, new jobs and whatnot. And if you're that connection piece,
exactly,
you're getting recommended. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah, boy, the other thing that I think comes to mind too that we were talking about that you mentioned was early on getting a mentor and having a mentor and someone very experienced. Now and you had mentioned Roman veteran. I've known Roman too. He's a great agent. And I think getting somebody that's more experienced that can help mentor you, guide you, whether that's an individual or some type of team environment or whatever it might be for you. But I think having that person that you can totally rely on to show you, here's what writing contracts, here's what negotiating stuff means, here's what, going on appointments, right? You had mentioned going on appointments. I mean, if you're brand new, you're like, yeah, you got a license. Okay, now I got to go on an appointment. I mean, I'll never forget my first listing appointment. I forced this person to look through my listing booklet, right? I'd created a 3-ring binder back in the day, right? And they were going to hear about every single page. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not quite like that today, but I think there's something to be said about getting a mentor. And my mentor when I first started was my mom. She's a realtor, great agent, great person as well. And, she was very instrumental in getting me started as well and kind of showing me what to do, how to do it, and all that kind of things. And I think that's an important part of your journey as well. Anything you'd say about that mentoring process that comes to mind?
It was huge. And all the difference to get to an upper level, it just takes repetition. I mean, just practice, just like anything else, you just have to do it a lot of times. But if you have a mentor who you can potentially shadow, or maybe even just do their open houses, if that's an option, there's ways of finding someone to help guide you. Some brokers offer this. Like the manager at my company, she mentors all the newer agents. She meets with them for regular and make sure they're doing their tasks and make sure they have everything they need. So there's different ways of finding like some version of a mentor. I was just so lucky because Roman literally would call me every morning. Okay, we're going to this listing appointment, and then we're going to meet with this buyer, and then we're going to this showing. And I literally was like his little puppy dog, just following him everywhere. And so I think that expedited because, I got to a higher level more quickly because I could hear how he was saying things and how, he presented contracts and things. So that was super
Totally.
helpful. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Very helpful. I think, boy, it's coming to mind. Actually, we have a agent on our team that's fairly new right now that she just closed her first listing appointment,
Oh,
first
cool.
listing, right? And that's a huge milestone as well. And I
Yeah.
think, that was certainly, I remember, because I had brought her with me on another
Mm.
listing appointment, right? So she was able to see some of my experience and interaction and how I was able to interact on that with that client, which we ended up getting at the time. And what I also got to commend this agent for, her name is Sarah, and this was her first listing, and she also was in competition with like two other
Oh,
agents.
good for her.
Okay.
That's
But
awesome.
they really chose her because they could connect with her authenticity, which you mentioned, right? Being important. People smell through your authenticity. So you got to be you, show up authentic, right?
Mhm.
And then I think just also having her some of her experience of shadowing and having me as a mentor, I think also helped her along the way. But I think having that
Yeah.
process built in is a hugely important thing
Yeah.
for anybody looking to grow, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and teams weren't a thing when I started. So that's
Totally. Yeah. Me neither. Yeah.
newer development, but
Yeah.
so that wasn't really an option when I started. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great way to start in the business is, find a team that you click with, and
Yeah.
that's a good way to get those reps in and get leads,
Yeah.
from your leader and stuff. So that's certainly a good way to start.
Well, 100%. So whether it's team environment or even just an individual person
Yeah.
that's more experienced, I think that's the key takeaway, right? You want to make sure that you're getting good advice from somebody that's got the experience out there for sure. Well, very cool. I don't know. Let's maybe shift gears. I'm sure you've encountered a few challenges, things that bumps along the way. I mean, in the last 22 years, I'm sure it wasn't always rainbows and unicorns. We've probably hit some challenges along the way. Is there anything that comes to mind that
Gosh,
that was
2008 maybe?
I mean, I was just thinking that like 2008, 9, and 10, like those
Yeah,
were tough years in the
it was
business. And,
brutal.
when you talk about putting in your reps and putting in the time, I will never forget how much time and effort I spent on short sales
Yes.
that never transacted, that I
Mhm.
never got paid a dime on. How many
Yes.
hours did you spend on something and it never came to fruition? I mean, yeah, that was a tough time, right? But I
Sales that
think
lasted
you
over
keep
a
going.
year. So it was
What's
just
that?
sales that lasted over a year,
Oh, I know, for
was,
sure. Yeah. What a
yeah.
nightmare. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
No,
that
that
was tough times, but yeah, you get scrappy. That's for sure. And it was hard too, because yeah, you're having a hard time because business is tough, but you're also, I mean, we are advisors to our clients, right?
yeah.
And so many of them at that time were going through such tough financial times. And it was very, you're their therapist, you're their advisor, it was exhausting. It was really tough, but I learned a lot. I'm sure you learned a lot. Now I know how to jump through the hoops of short sales and foreclosures. And luckily in Madison, it wasn't as bad as on the East and West Coast. It was a lot worse,
Yeah.
but yeah, but it was a tough time. I mean, I had to certainly tighten my belt, and yeah, it was interesting, but we made it through. We made it through.
Yeah. No, we did. I mean, I think that's one of the things, right? Like the market's always going to change, and we're going through a little bit of a cycle right now, I think, in
Yep.
terms of prices leveling out and, sales maybe not as prevalent as they were during COVID, right? So, like how, in some
Good.
ways it's a little bit of a shift in the market,
Yeah,
but
I think that's good. COVID was too Lulu and too
oh,
skewed
yeah.
that way. I mean, I'm glad we're kind of working more towards a balanced market.
Yeah.
Give our first time home buyers a chance to get, some home ownership. It's
Yeah,
been
get some home ownership.
fire.
Have an inspection contingency? You mean you can do
Yeah,
that again? Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm glad things are starting to shift a bit. And, Madison is such a strong market in general. People are moving here all the time, and we're the top 10 list of pretty much every list. So I think I read a stat recently, we're going to increase by 40% by 2050. So, I mean, Madison's growing, people are buying here. It's happening here in Madison, but it'll be nice. It's not quite so skewed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, the frenzied market during COVID was definitely a little too crazy. And I think we kind of knew that. I think you could feel that, right? Like you
sure.
knew even going through that when I remember, you knew that this was not sustainable. You knew that this
Right.
couldn't continue and like it had to shift. So I think
Right.
we are getting a little bit more to a balanced market, which I think is a great thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
agreed.
So yeah. Okay.
My toughest time in real estate, 2008 through 2010.
2008 to 2010.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So maybe there's some agents out there right now, maybe that are struggling too, because I think that could be true that, even now might be a tough time for a lot of agents, especially if they're not as experienced. What do you
Yeah.
think got you through that? What do you think you'd say to an agent to, I don't know, keep going? How do you get through it? What do you think works for you to kind of,
I do think with the COVID craziness, you put a listing up and it get 20 offers, in 2 days, and that's not really happening anymore. So, I mean, if they started during that market, they do have to learn some new skills, being prepared, talking, preparing your clients, having those tougher conversations, being prepared to ask for potentially a price reduction if that's needed, really knowing the market so you can price things correctly, given that things are shifting. So it's a new skill set, and it takes reps and it takes practice. So, I mean, if people are going to want to continue in this business, you've got to be able to be flexible and lean into those veteran agents, like ask them questions, like ask them how best to get a listing in this market and how to be able to get it to closing. So
yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. That's an interesting comment, right? Like if it's not selling in the first week and you don't have 10 or 20 offers, what does that
what
dialogue
do you
sound
do?
like? What does that come? Oh my
What
gosh,
do you
what do,
do?
what do I do? Something's
Yeah.
wrong. It's not sold yet. But like as I think a more experienced agent, right? You've experienced that. You've had that happen and you know kind of what to do. But part of it is I think the skill set for me, I know or that I've done anyway, that's worked well is like, okay, well, let's continue to do a couple different things. One, let's monitor what else is selling, right? What else is happening in the market? What are we noticing? What are the trends, prices, what properties beat ours out and whatnot? And always staying on top of kind of where our property, our listing might be positioned to be the next sale. And are we
Right.
comfortable with what do we got to do to help guide and advise our clients to be the next one, right? What is it that's happening? The other thing I know that I've done that's worked well too is like, if just because your photos or your write-up and description, you thought it was amazing when you first put the listing up, but if it's sitting there for 2, 3, 4 weeks and it hasn't sold, guess what? Maybe you need to change something. So go back into the listing, change around some of the photos, maybe take a couple new ones, maybe change the write-up, highlight something different in the description. That's something that can evolve over time. I mean, I can't remember. I can think of many times I've seen, right, especially in the spring, right? You see a listing that's been sitting there for a few months and there's still snow in the pictures.
Right.
Well,
Not good.
not good. Yeah. Why do you think it isn't selling? Well, time to update some of those photos, right? Yeah.
You got to be proactive. You got to be proactive, always looking at what's happening and adjusting. So
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. All right. Proactive. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? What do you think that?
stay in touch with your people. Don't just like hide, like, oh my gosh, it's not selling, Keep in
Oh,
touch with them. I think people do, they get scared. They don't know what to say. So
they don't know what to say,
they
right?
don't know what to say.
Gosh, I remember hearing from one of my mentors a while back, right? No update is an update, right?
Yes.
Just call your people and
At
hey,
least
hey,
once a week. Yeah. You need to be in touch with your people.
once a week, be in touch with your clients, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, just want to let you know I don't have any updates. I know we haven't had a ton of showings, blah, blah,
Yep.
blah, whatever it might be. They just want to hear from you and know that you're still there working. Yeah.
Yep. An update on the neighborhood and maybe some other ideas you might try. And tell them you're switching up the photos, doing your, rewrite of the description, or always thinking of things that you could try, even if it's small, could make a difference.
Yep. For sure. I love that. Cool. Well, yeah, I don't know. We've been chatting for a while now. I don't know. Is there anything that's on your mind that you think our listeners would get some value from, or any topics that you think comes to mind that would be helpful for us to cover?
There, Josh. I think we covered a lot. Stay in touch with your people, be authentic. One thing I do for my clients, if I know their birthday, I sing happy birthday in Swedish to them on a video and text that to them. I've done it for my friends for a long time, and I started doing it for my clients, and it's a total hoot. They love
Ha!
it. Well, it's a fun song, so very upbeat.
Happy birthday in Swedish.
Yeah,
Can
so
you?
my mom is Swedish, so I
Oh,
speak Swedish, and that's just it's a little thing I do. Yeah,
can you do that for our listeners? Can you do that on our show today?
Oh, sure. You ready?
Yeah, I'm
What's
ready.
your birthday, Josh? I'll call you on your birthday.
My birthday is October 2nd.
Oh, okay. I'll put it in my calendar. Yeah, here we go. Jag må hon leva, jag må hon leva, jag må hon leva ut i 100 år. Ja, visst ska hon leva, ja, visst ska hon leva, ja, visst ska hon leva ut i 100 år. Ja, visst ska Josh leva. Hurra, 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 hurra. I mean, that's fun.
I love that.
Yeah,
Oh, I
have
love
fun.
that.
Have fun. Yeah.
That is fun. Oh my gosh, I've never heard that before. That's amazing.
You know.
Keep it fun. I like it. I like it. Very
For
cool.
sure.
Nice. All right. Well, Anna, I appreciate you, and I appreciate the happy birthday. That was great. And just the insight. Yeah. So be authentic, stay in touch with your clients, stay in touch with your people, and find a good mentor.
Yep.
Build those relationships, stay consistent in your practice, right? Every day we're practicing, we're learning, we're improving, we're getting better. And if agents can do that, they will absolutely grow their business and become a better agent and have more fun in the process. So
Yep, they will.
absolutely. Well, cool. Well, that's our show for today. I appreciate you, Anna Trull. Thanks for coming on. And anybody who's listening, if you enjoyed this and want to hear more about some other tips and stuff from our future guests, feel free to tune in. But that's our show for today, the Better Agent Podcast. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks for tuning in to the Better Agent Podcast. I hope you found today's insights valuable. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned for more tips, Q&A sessions, and sneak peeks into our 21-day challenge. To get full access of our show notes and more details on the 21-day challenge, go to abetterrealestateexperience.com. Keep striving for greatness, and I'll see you on the next episode.